evening. I hope everyone's okay. And tonight we have Neil Story, an award-winning author with 50 publications so far. How are you doing?
Hello. Nice to see you, Jackie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, welcome. It's so great to meet you at the Parameet in Rugby.
It was a pleasure. It's a lovely gathering with good people and, leaving egos at the doors, although I don't think a lot of people have egos there. They're just nice people. It's
Not
an
there, no.
absolute pleasure to be
No,
part of
it's
it.
kind of more like friends, wasn't it, really?
Well, it's when all your Facebook friends from Britain and even some from abroad, they come to
Yeah,
life. It's
that's right.
magic.
And everyone just seemed like they were. There's no difference between the person that you sort of experienced online
Yeah.
to when you actually met them in person as well. So you kind of feel you know them.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, you kind of do, don't you?
Yeah, and it's very comfortable. That's what I like about it. I think now we've had the internet for quite a few years, and you get a few years under your belt. You find that you filter out the there's toxics, sadly, or whatever they
Yes.
want to call them,
I'll leave them to it.
gremlins and all sorts. Yeah, do you know what? If you want to be negative, you want to be miserable all the time. Well, guess what? I'm sure there's specialist websites for that. But if you
Yeah.
want to be positive, we explore the paranormal, be kind to people, and realize we all had to start somewhere. Just keep the good vibe going. That's what it's about.
That's
It's
right,
nice.
because you're not, you might not get on with everybody, but whatever,
I,
it's like
I didn't
people
find anybody I didn't get on with. I found it
not there, no,
very
but you,
welcoming.
that's it. You just get like loads of people thrown together, all different walks of life, and you've got paranormal, which is your common denominator, and it was
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
I
Um,
think the problem is, for a lot of us, if we're really honest, if you go to family parties or gatherings,
oh yeah,
some you can talk about anything. It's great. Others, oh, we don't do paranormal.
yeah,
And you think, okay, what about history? Do we talk history? Great, yeah. No, not really interested in that. It's football interiors, babies, and
holidays.
yeah, and yeah, reality TV. And I think, okay, well, it's our time. It's our wonderful power meet where we can talk about all the things that really interest us.
Yeah, that's right. And can't we talk about it?
Yeah, into the wee small hours. I
Yeah.
only thank God there's 3 of them this year, so we can actually get somewhere with our conversations.
Well, yeah, that's right. I think I was just shattered before I got there, and then it just it just carried on, wasn't it? It's just
That's
one hell of
no
a
way to
weekend,
start.
but
You need to be limbering up, and I'll hasten to add this is tonic water. You need to be
that
limbered
makes
up,
a change.
ready to go. You know me so well. Naughty Jackie. But no,
I know
tonic
I
water
am,
for
aren't
tonight.
I?
It's sober
Yeah.
time.
I think the worst thing was the bar shut so early, didn't it?
I take my bar wherever I go.
Oh
It's called
well,
the
I
hospitality bag, and yes,
actually
pink
said
gin,
goodbye. Yeah,
pink gin, and a nice lemon somewhere, and away we go.
yeah, I got through quite a bit on the Saturday night.
You didn't. You're kidding. You're going to
Yeah.
think people watching this are going to think paranormal investigators. Oh, no wonder they see things because they give a new meaning to spirits, don't they? Yeah,
Oh, we
they bring
did,
their own.
yeah. But the thing is, I've really cut down my drinking. I'm too busy going out Friday or Saturday night driving. So you're losing a
Oh,
drinking night.
well, you don't need to drink all the time. Keep it
No,
special.
I don't drink all the time. No.
That's right. That's what that
Only
intravenous drip that you just pushed off camera when you
look,
went on
look, look,
live.
look, that. But yeah, it's just fantastic time. There's three this time, and you speaking at all of
Absolutely.
them.
Some superb venues to go to. No, I don't think I've been to any of them.
I don't
So
know
it'll
any
be
of them. No.
it's going to be exciting. It's going to be different. Um, it could be an amazing time to maybe see if we can get some investigations going on there too.
Yeah, that's right, because we did get an hour, but I tried in my bedroom a little bit just to see what I could get, but
Did
you're
you?
too busy wanting to meet everyone, aren't you?
Well, yeah. And it's solo ghost hunting is when you're not at the parameet.
Gosh, yeah, definitely.
You know, it's a time for caring and sharing.
Bag of wine gums in the pocket. Yeah, it's just an incredible time, and yeah, just to meet like-minded people, and
Long
it's
may
like,
it be so.
and it's
And
like
it's
when you go and have these weekends, and they keep you going for dreary weeks after, don't they?
oh, they do.
Because things
But you
can be
don't want to
dreary in
overdo
real
it.
life, but
Keep it like good wine. Keep it like good wine. That's what I say. So you can really soak it up and really get that buzz.
yeah,
Keep it fresh. Investigate it well. Research it maybe before you go. Sometimes people like to go in cold. I appreciate that as well.
yeah,
But treat it like a fine wine. Relax. Make sure you're rested and soak it up, because I believe, I know there's all sorts of equipment out there, but I've been ghost hunting now, or paranormal investigating, and back in the day it was always called ghost hunting,
of course it
since
will.
1988. And in fact, before
Wow,
that, when I was at high school, we went out on our bikes as kids to all sorts of weird, wonderful places. But
awesome.
more formal, organised investigation, yeah, it's since '88. And
Oh
I've
wow,
never really used an awful lot of tech. In those days, you had a brick that you put inside a video recorder. There's a tape
yeah,
on that. Very little digital. I've never used a voice box. I like EVP. I think EVP is very good. I think that's minimal tech, and it's a
yeah,
good way, I think, for spirits to communicate. I always believe if you're going in somewhere, keep your baseline pure.
yeah,
If you watch shows like the Holzer Files, now I think the Holzer Files, main presenter, my good friend Dave Schrader, it's an exemplar of how. Now I'm not going to tell people how they should ghost hunt or
yeah.
paranormal research. That's not what I'm here. But you've asked me on the show. I enjoy
Yeah,
your company,
thank
uh,
you.
and I'm quite happy to share. What have I always done? And I keep it very, very simple. And even if we've got a mixed group with some people that want tech and some people that maybe want a bit more pure old school, I say keep the baseline pure, because
Yeah,
if you are reaching spirits, some of them might not have been reached for 200 years. If you're
that's
producing
true.
a box of lights, they might think it's
Mm,
witchcraft. Goodness
exactly.
sake. So keep
They
simple.
really they don't understand what we're doing, and really, it's wrong for us to be. In their eyes, it can be wrong.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
against their religious beliefs. It's the occult. It's witchcraft. It's everything under the sun, isn't it?
it can
Everything
be.
they were taught to be against, and that's what
So I
we're
don't.
doing in a way.
Well, in some ways, yeah. But if you keep it pure, I mean, if you think about it, if you had, and there's nothing wrong with crystal or pendulums, but back in those days, if you owned that, that's a witch's implement, and you could get a bit of a finger on you for that. So that's why I use what my great grandmother had the second sight, and she used to
Oh,
use a
cool.
key, and I'm sure that's the reason why, because everybody had keys back in the
Yeah,
day, and that's great to work as a pendulum. Now we've all moved on since then, but if you don't want to
yeah,
upset the spooks, use a key. Keep it simple. Think of yes and no cards. You don't even need the full Ouija board. Just make sure, protect yourself. Yes and no is good. Keep it really simple uh, from when you're starting to engage. But that's just me. That's the way I've always done it. And I keep a manual camera. I personally think if you've got a mobile phone that's switched on, it's giving off a frequency.
yeah.
Now, those who've studied ghosts, and it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong, but those who have seem to think that frequencies are part of manifestation. And sometimes you might be blocking what you've come to see with your mobile phone. So guess what?
Maybe.
I'd say if you've never tried it, don't lose the senses that you're born with. Now,
Yeah.
everybody has a gift to a greater or lesser extent. The greatest block to a gift is a pessimist. Come with an open mind. Right? We're not here to prove anything. Right? I'm not into proving. I know. I know the paranormal exists. I've seen
Yeah.
it. Come
Yeah.
with an open mind. We don't want people sneering or anything like that. Don't need that. Okay, go and do something else. Go have a drink, watch some telly. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Come in, open mind, keep it pure, keep the electronics off, just for your baseline.
Yeah.
And there's a group of you, don't even need to link hands. Sit, if you've got, I've sat in some wonderful houses and castles and stuff, lovely big wingback chairs, and just sit there and listen to the night.
Yeah. I like to get to the feel of the building.
Yeah.
You
And
sit
it will
there
help
and
you. Yeah.
the fabric of the building, you know, the sounds around it, you know, can you hear birds? Can you hear the traffic?
Right.
And just try and understand what's happening, really.
And if you haven't had that baseline to hear all of those natural sounds, you could
Yeah.
be recording something, getting something going on later on. And all along, it's a natural squeak in the floorboards that you would have heard if you just did the pure baseline. Again, not telling people how to do it, but this works for me. And it's something I believe quite strongly in, because then that also means that it will enhance your natural gifts. And we've all got them. Go easy on it. And, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But try it. It's not going to cost you a penny. It might cost you an hour or so of your time. But maybe it might just change the way you investigate the paranormal forever.
That's right. Maybe you get more activity because you're listening straight away.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I do it, you know, I host and you sort of go through the same, you know, like, is anyone there? You know, and there is kind of a way that a lot of us do start an investigation. But, you know, just to go in hello and then just sit down quietly and just observe the space, really.
What I would say beyond that as well, if you're going to do a nice pure baseline, great. Okay, so maybe if you're in safe environments to use your candles, use your key pendulum if you wish.
Yeah.
Maybe an EVP, but if you're going to produce that, or anything that's got a light or an electronic device, don't just say hello, tell them what it is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, we're from our time. And I think that also puts a little bit of a parameter up as well, so that they don't get too confused about who's engaging with them and why. We are from the 21st century.
Yeah, that's right.
Things have moved on in the hundreds of years since maybe you existed. And this is a little recording device. It's not witchcraft. And you can speak in it.
Yeah.
You're safe. You're not going to be prosecuted. There's going to be no accusations. And that's what it is. I'm going to just leave that there. And and also, you know, I would encourage people, if you've done your baselines, you're feeling something in a room, you can't be everywhere. Lock off cameras are pretty good.
Yes.
You know, a little trail camera or something, a little lock off in a room, and just make sure it is properly sealed. Leave it in there for a few hours, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
The results that I have seen from that, I think if you're going in with major electronics and noise, you'll disrupt it. If you go in with minimum, right, we've done a pure baseline, you know the layout of the room, right, we can get a good view of the room from here, click on, put it on the shelf, leave it. And from that, I've seen at least two pretty good, what would have been full body manifestations, but they weren't, you couldn't see all the way down. One, you could see the feet.
Wow.
And these are not solid, but these are passing figures that will move through there. And we know that there's nobody in there. And it's been minimal disturbance. But I know when people have gone in subsequently with all whistles and bells and a movement center with lots of lights, guess what? Oh, we didn't get anything. Got nothing like that. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. You've missed it. Somebody here, like I mentioned, Tony, he walks in a few cameras and that's it. And and I tell you what, it is real. And I was lucky to meet Tony and spent a couple of hours in a cave along the shore near Girvan in Scotland.
Wow.
So it's a cave in the middle of nowhere. I had to climb over a gate. Yeah, for that one. And we spent 2 hours. It's me, his partner, and Tony. And each of us did a lone vigil of 5 minutes in the cave with the camera just sitting on outside of the cave. And yeah, I got an EVP. I said, can you light something up for, no, can you throw something? And you heard something get thrown.
Really?
And that hit the Daily Mirror. And,
Wow.
you know, and what else can you say? You know, you've asked for something, you've heard a noise, you're
You
on
can
your
say
own.
thank you.
I did. I said that.
I
I did.
bet
I
you
said,
did.
I said
You've got the
thank you very
etiquette.
much. Because
You
my
have.
friend watched it. She says, oh, you sound really posh there.
Do say thank you, because
I
it gives the
did.
spirit confidence that what they've done is right. It's okay, and they've
Yeah.
been heard.
Yeah. But
You never
we
know
were,
what will reach a spirit or whatever is there, but yeah, keep it pure and just try it. There's no harm in trying, is
it's
there?
brilliant. Yeah.
There's everything to gain and nothing to lose at all.
We were getting actual voices. Now I could hear a sound which was like a voice. Tony heard what was being said. I heard a male cough. We were in a cave by the sea. The noise we had was the sea, and that was it. You know, there's no people around
Fabulous,
there.
isn't it?
It's
I
just
was in
fantastic.
the Hellfire Caves with a
Oh,
team of
beautiful.
paranormal investigators from America and the wonderful Dave Schrader when he was on UK tour with me. And Hellfire Caves, that place is, I'd never been there, but I'd heard of its reputation,
Yes.
both historically and as a haunted place. And I don't know, is there such a thing? And lots of people talk about the stone tape theory, but these are very porous uh, chalk walls, the chalk workings. You sense things there. I mean, it's a bit of a warren anyway, but we got EVP. I mean, just by walking in there, we took some photographs because the caverns looked great, and instantly there was light anomaly passing
Wow.
through. It looks like a blur of somebody walking, and they couldn't because it's wall to wall. Somebody must have been, a spirit must have been flat on the wall and moved across. And there's a photograph of me and Dave. We walked down afterwards and had that. It's incredible,
It's
incredible
beautiful. Yeah.
light, but lights that flow around in there. It's quite gloomy. It's got lights along the way, but
Yeah.
very bright, distinctive lights. We certainly didn't see them. One of the ladies in the group said to us, I saw that she saw lights where we were. And we said, well, no, we didn't have any lights. And when we looked at the photographs, there it was, this moving light.
It's
And it was
beautiful.
interesting, the speed that it moved. It was very pure, very white, not an orb. And it was almost like, when you get a sparkler when you go round and round and you
All
see the
right. Yeah.
circle. It was a line like that. And there's nobody messing around with a torch or a phone camera. Very odd. But the EVPs in the inner temple there were a little disturbing, I have to say. I think down there when they were messing around with all sorts of rites in the 18th century, they were opening doors and they didn't know how to close them. And
Mm.
Lord knows what people came down there. Did people die down there in some of these rites? We know of one woman that supposedly died when a trick was played on her. But had they obtained children from London? Certainly the voices of children came through. More than one child. That was intriguing. Spirit
Wow. Yeah.
children down there. But again, as you and I know, you have to be very careful if you think it is the ghost of a child.
Yes. Could be anything. Yeah. That's right.
It could be considerably darker. And considering it's the
Yeah.
Hellfire Caves, well, there we are.
Yeah.
Who knows
The
what
name
Mr.
and
Downs
nature
will look
then
up
with that
for?
place.
It's well worth a visit. Well worth a
Yeah.
visit.
I'd love to go. I've got to get out sort of further afield.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very,
Genuinely.
very nice team there that I found were extremely welcoming and more than accommodating. And in fact, they do all-night ghost hunts there as well. You just got to
Oh,
book
it's
in and
beautiful.
I dare you.
Yes. Oh
Trouble is,
no.
you can't tell whether it's day or night.
No, that's it. I think you about 5 or 6. I will know what time it is.
Not in the
I've been nearly
caves.
asleep.
Not in the caves, you wouldn't.
I
Got
will because
no
I'm too
concept
tired.
of time. And
Tiredness more than
the
anything.
weird thing is the way those tunnels are carved out. Some of them intersect. it's quite disorientating. And what I noticed,
Mm.
and I don't think anybody's noticed this before, where you've got this inner, you follow the caverns all down, you've got this inner temple, this sacred area, supposedly. And on the door, of course, there's a gate on the door, but you notice there's an old set of brackets on the outside. And down on one side, and there's a throw bolt. It was the receiver for a throw bolt on the opposite side. So that means now they had a steward in there. So if you closed that gate and you threw the bolt, you couldn't get out
Wow,
when the gate was there.
that's grim. Yeah,
They had a steward, but he would have to, I gather, he would have to let you out because it's a. I'm not talking about a little throw bolt like on a back door. I'm talking about a big, I should think, 3-4 inch bolt that would have had a slider on it to push across.
oh blimey.
Check it out. Always check out your surroundings and read what was there. Things that might be long, long gone. The evidence of brackets and throw bolt holders, and even portcullis runs on castles. It's all there. It's
Yeah,
all there. Just take your time and learn to read the landscape of the buildings that you are researching.
yeah. I think sometimes you haven't got enough time, and that's the problem. You're in a location, you've only got a few hours, and you're just kind of rushing all the time, aren't you? You know, you go from one vigil to the next, and you haven't got the
Well,
chance to look round that much. I guess you'd have to go in the
remember, I say
daytime.
treat it like a fine wine. And if
Yeah.
you've done a good baseline and you've got some, go to those places that you think, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Because to be honest with you, in my experience, an hour just flies by.
It
If you're
does.
out on a, and I think really, if you've got an atmosphere in a room, you're not going to persuade things to happen. If they might happen out very, very quickly, you never know. But I
Yeah.
think time restriction and a push, we're always in a hurry. I'd say, well, look, you could always come back. Behave yourselves,
Mm.
don't block the copybook. You can always come back.
Yeah. That's
And it's
it.
better, I think, to soak up. I mean, if the room feels dead, then that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Move on.
right. Just
But
move
if
on.
you're really feeling, yeah, there's some vibe going on here, remember there's energy. There's energy that if that needs to build up to make that contact, to make things
Definitely.
happen, you know. And yeah, it is
Yeah.
patience. But think about somebody who's fishing. Most people don't go and fish for an hour, do they?
Oh no, that's right.
So think about ghost hunting rather like that. What do you want? Do you want quick fix and lots of
Mhm.
flashy lights and boxes? Or
Mhm.
do you actually wish to experience something that is truly paranormal? Something not of this world?
Yeah. I sort of like more the physical side. So I
It,
do sort of go with experienced people and we'll stand in an energy circle. Well, just stand in a circle and just see what happens really. And
or
then you
even
can,
sit in a chair. Do you know any fool can be uncomfortable? You don't need to stand
oh
up.
yeah.
Oh no. If there's a
You don't
nice
get a lot of
comfortable
chairs
wingback
around
chair,
though in some locations.
well bring your own, you
You
know.
get cold. Yeah, it's true.
Wrap up warm, be sensible about it. Don't go
Always.
and get some awful cold and stuff. But think about it. Think about
Yeah.
your comfort. I mean, you can get one of these sort of fold-out director's chair things, quite cheaply from well-known DIY places. Take your own, put it in your boot.
Yeah.
There's nothing to sit on. Right, go and grab that. I'm having that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wrap up warm and soak it up because if you're having to move around a lot, as I say, fishermen don't move around. Fishermen don't jump up and down and aren't rushing around because they want the fish to come to their hook. They want the fish to be calm. That calm,
Yeah.
quiet. See what you get.
That's right. I've seen these heated jackets. Have you seen
Oh,
them?
give it a whirl. I've just got a nice big old tweed jacket that's lined.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
they
right.
use them for hunting, shooting, and fishing. Well, I use mine for ghost hunting. It's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice with a reliable jumper and a nice flannel shirt.
yeah,
Does the job. Or thermal underneath.
yeah,
Layer up, but take your time.
yeah. There is just so much. You just got to open your eyes and open your senses, haven't you? Really?
Open your senses, open your eyes and your ears. Learn to see once you start to get your ear in, and you've got to be patient. I know some people are very impatient. That's fine. But I don't think an impatient person makes the best ghost hunter,
Mm, get you.
to be honest. And I know people are dying to reach out and really get involved and see magical things, but I think it's a bit like fishing. But mind you, you could go with all the intention of fishing and being there for hours, and you sit down, stuff starts happening. So you never know. I'm also up to be proven wrong, and I'd much rather be proven wrong.
Yeah, but it is so fascinating, isn't it? What we do. But when did you first start this? What was your first encounter?
I have been aware of the paranormal world for most of my life. I grew up in a very historic county, the rural county of Norfolk.
Yeah.
Had a house just outside North Walsham town centre, which was
Right. Yeah.
haunted, and I gather still
Yes.
is. Uh, so from a very young age, I was seeing things around the house. It was a very grey, translucent figure that we kind of think was probably my great granddad, because he was tall, and it was a Victorian house, and he had to in life, I never knew him, but he had to duck his head when he went down the bottom of the stairs to get between the to kind of duck his head to get around the last bit of the stairs. So
Oh
I
wow.
saw that, and I was absolutely terrified. And I
Yeah.
know he wouldn't have wanted to frighten me, but I saw that, and as a little boy, I can remember that we had latch fixings on the doors, and this would be in the dead of night. And so when you hear a latch, it has to go up and click down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then
That's right.
the door would open, and that, not every week, not every month, but just as you thought, oh, that must have been just the old house settling or whatever, or somebody hasn't put it on quite the right, it would do it again. And and as a kid, I can remember now whether I was asleep and dreaming it, but I'm pretty sure I felt it. I could feel someone sat on my bed, and it wasn't a human. It wasn't a nasty spirit, and I'm fairly sure. Because my great granddad would have loved me, and I would have loved him, and he loved
Yeah.
kids. He was a nice old boy. Uh, I think he used to come and sit but on the bed with me. I like that. I like that thought. I never felt in danger. I never
Yeah.
really felt frightened. But I was such a little boy. I dare not open my eyes.
Yeah. Totally get you.
So they were my earliest experiences. My great grandmother had the second sight, and she was from a
Right.
long line of country midwives before they were properly trained, although the last of that line did become a trained midwife in London in 1888 of all times. She came
Wow.
back with a very tall story of how she saw Jack the Ripper. She used to
Wow.
say he's always around in the East End, always around, loitering in the shadows. Used to tell the story and frighten the kids. Used to say, if you see him,
Yeah.
if he looks at you, his eyes burn like the coals of hell. It's a typical
Wow.
story because everybody wanted to know. If you've been down there, have
Oh
you seen
gosh.
Jack the
Yeah.
Ripper?
They're going
Right,
to
but
mention it, aren't they? So yeah, you're going to come out with one, aren't
it's
you?
a kid's story. But
Yeah.
I was told that story from when I was a kid, and when I was sort of really getting into it, oh, there'd be probably my Uncle
Oh
Ernie or my
no.
Uncle Fred, bump on the shoulders, whoa, whoa, head like a cork. But never a nightmare because of that. No, so all sorts of ghosts, all sorts of stories were around me, and I grew up a lot with my grandparents, so they had friends that told ghost stories, and I was at an age growing up in the 70s and 80s where you didn't have all this stuff on TV or the
That's
internet,
it.
and
No.
us kids used to go out on our bikes to haunted sites. So I
Wow.
guess in a and yes, I'd kind of take it seriously, but it was It was what it was. It was going to a
Yeah,
spooky old house, or hangman's tree or something, or the witch tree, or a house supposedly once occupied by a witch, and that's what we did. But yeah, I've grown up with the paranormal and the Usborne Book of Ghosts, which
yes, awesome.
you know the one. It's
Yeah,
got
that's
the
right.
line of monks,
I believe Haunted
beautifully
Mag
illustrated.
reprinted it, so I've got one. Yeah,
And it's magic. The
it is.
artwork is
Yeah,
superb. The
that's
information in
right.
there is great. The photographs in there when I was a kid frightened me. I thought, oh
Yeah,
blimey!
that's right.
There's that photograph that they had to use a film up after laying flowers on this woman's mother's grave, and they thought, well, just take a photograph of her husband in the car, looking out the window, give it a little bit of a cheeky smile there. And they take it. In those days, you had to go and get it developed. You couldn't see it instantly, and they get it developed. And blow me, there's mother sat on the back seat in her specs and perm, but she's
Oh,
see
yeah.
through, and it made it extra scary because she looked like my granny.
Oh my gosh, you see? Oh, bless you. Oh, it's just fascinating because I think I would have been too scared at that age to see anything like the whole world's changed since like 60s, 70s, hasn't it? You
It
know, and
has incredibly. If you're a child of the 60s, 70s, and maybe the early 80s, we're the last generation to be scared by TV. Now,
yeah,
there's good and bad in that because no child should be scared. But we genuinely dived behind the sofa or behind the door when the Doctor Who music started, let alone
well,
watching the thing.
I was banned from watching it. As a
Yeah,
child, I don't know which one it was. The woman was getting killed or something, or I thought she was going to
uh,
die. So I started
absolutely.
crying.
There's
And
some
then I just
really.
got banned from watching it from with my mum and dad. I forgot about that. But
When you're a
yeah,
kid, there were some scary monsters in there. And I
yeah,
often
that's
reminisce
right.
about these bubblegum cards. Now, I was frightened by the Hammer posters with Christopher Lee on them as Dracula. I
They were
taste the
evil,
blood of
weren't
Dracula.
they?
There's no
Yeah.
way I could get in to see it because it's ex certificate. I'm a kid. But I could go to my local newsagent and I could buy some Three Tops bubblegum cards for about 3p, and the bubblegum was rubbish. It was all chalky and awful. And there were three full colour stills from films like Dracula AD 1972,
Wow.
with lurid necks bitten and blood, and
Yeah.
they've all got a stupid strapline joke on them. And I frightened myself silly. I wasn't 10 years old. I was so frightened by these cards, I had to give them to my mum. And I said, please don't put them in the bin, so that I can see them, take them away and dispose of them. They were that scary.
Yeah, we were though. It was what it was, wasn't it? We were kind of really green, weren't we?
We
We
were,
we didn't have
but
a clue about anything, but then the news didn't show
I
anything
know.
either, did it?
When I was
We didn't.
writing my biography of Bram Stoker, I thought, well, I remember these cards. Can I track some down? And of course, the well-known international auction house online. Of course, I found some of these cards, and I got the majority of a
Mm.
set. And I just cleared it with my lovely son Lawrence, and I've got two beautiful little granddaughters. And I said, "Do you mind if I?" She said, "Yeah, no problem." He knew that my little 10-year-old wonder uh, doesn't phase her. So just a man in funny clothes. You try it on. Ask the friends' kids. Uh, do you mind? Yeah, no problem. She looked at the cards. Yeah, little just a man in funny clothes. They
Yeah,
don't. It didn't even seem to register that some of these people had, bitten necks and blood or something dribbling out of his eyes. It was in some ways bizarre, but there's nothing wrong with these kids. These are great kids, fun kids.
yeah.
But and I'm pleased that they're not frightened. I'd never want to frighten my kids, but we were.
We
So I
were.
wonder
That's
what
right.
has changed. What are children exposed? Because we don't know what they all look. I mean, we can put a net nanny on, but Lord knows, kids can probably access things we can't.
That's right. I think
So
we.
I don't know, or maybe they're more skeptical about a picture as a picture, and just about anything can be manipulated.
That's right. But now you know, like Halloween,
Oh,
like
yeah.
people do graphic costumes now, which probably then you know, and then some of the films which have been available since then.
I don't
It's
do
too
horror. Not
graphic.
I kind of stop at Amicus, Hammer, Tygon. That'll do me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't need Saw, and no, nothing wrong with it. Don't let's exclude anybody. If that's your
Yeah, it was
bag,
rather
that's fine.
graphic.
But I don't. I really don't need that. I'm a sensitive flower, and
Yeah,
I just it doesn't work for. I don't need it. Thank you. I like
yeah,
suspense. I love thrillers. I love good crime drama, but
yeah.
I just don't. I don't need extreme torture and violence and
No.
eyes getting poked or innards and stuff. And do you know what is a funny thing, lady? You'll like this. Did you know that the majority of crime writers, now I'm not going to name anybody, all right, but the majority of crime writers cannot stand the sight of blood.
That's random. Yeah, they describe it and
Oh, yeah,
talk
that's
about it and
okay.
everything under the sun.
You're in control of that, but a lot of them they certainly don't like gore. Certainly wouldn't watch
Wow.
it. No, no. It's all in the if you've got that kind of mind, you can visualize blood, and it'll even send a tingle down your spine. And if you can articulate that, the
Yeah.
actual vision of it, you don't need it. So maybe a lot of people into crime and murder stories, and maybe even some of the elements of ghosts and the paranormal. Maybe it's our way of kind of uh, exercising those demons. I don't know. Trying to understand why are we scared? Do we want and trying to understand do we really want to be scared? Or do you really
Mm.
want to see something? But under what terms uh, are you going to see it? Are you going to be so terrified it's going to change your life? Are you
I
strong
think
enough?
things can change your life. It
It
has
can.
me. Yeah, an
It,
occurrence
it,
has
it
changed my
really
life.
can. So
Yeah,
I think take it seriously. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff out there. So there's a lot of good, very positive, beautiful spirits, but for goodness sake, just be careful. Be
definitely.
careful because you're not. It ain't a game, and you want to be Mr. Skeptical, great, but you just watch out what can happen to you. And I think people that are overly skeptical getting involved, I really don't need to prove myself or the paranormal to them, and I don't. I think they're quite dangerous people to have on ghost hunts if they're
Oh
what I'd call
gosh,
a
yeah.
disrespectful
It
skeptic.
destroys it. You're not going to sort of get the energy to the right level if you've got
No,
somebody like that, just like destroying anything you're trying to build up.
yeah, it's
And
a
that's the
positivity
problem, isn't
sponge.
it? Yeah,
They can be energy vampires.
that's right. If there's somebody yawning there and grumping, whatever, or moaning, that's it.
Well, go and watch
Nothing's going
football
to
at
make
home
itself
then.
known.
Leave it
Eh?
to us. Go and watch football at home if that's what you want to go and do.
Oh, blimey, yeah,
You got to,
definitely.
I think, have the goodwill, have the open mind, and just see what happens.
Yeah, you see, I used to go, nothing happened. I wasn't convinced of it. And then once something happened, it's like, oh my God. But what I
What's the
like,
strangest thing you've ever seen?
see, to
You
physically
actually
see,
see with your own eyes.
to see with my own eyes, it's Matlock Pavilion. So it's a
Wow, is that a
public
spooky
event.
building?
Yeah, awesome place. Fantastic.
What did you see?
So we're standing in an energy circle. I was facing stage, as were probably one or two, because we're obviously in a circle. And there's this black mass just growing like smoke, and it just getting thicker and thicker, and you
Where
could
is it
see it
manifesting from?
right in the centre of stage from the ground, sort of thing. And it was
And
just
it's
getting
rising up.
darker and thicker, yeah, darker and thicker. And it's sort of like, I'd say about 7 foot, and it got a face on it. It acquired a face, and it was like a very white face, like more of a skeleton, sort of skeletal face, just white. And
Do you
oh no,
feel
Patricia wasn't there that time, but Patricia was at Matlock a lot.
were you experiencing a ghost, or do you think you were experiencing an entity?
I don't know. Luckily, the person next door to me saw it as well. So it wasn't just me, which, when you get that validation that someone
Mm,
else has seen it, I screamed.
yeah.
It's my natural defense. I'm sorry. I see something run like a mouse, a rat, I will scream. not because of scared, it's more surprise. I
Yes.
didn't run. You know, I wanted to see more, I wanted to experience more, but
Mm.
yeah, that was my natural. And you know, I've maybe screamed on 3 or 4 events, but you know, just if something just happens, what makes you jump, it comes out
I
verbally with
agree.
me.
I
But
agree.
you know,
And I mean, when I tell ghostly stories, sometimes I'm put a little jump in at the end, and I've seen people physically stand up and they've got an arm shaking like this, or the hands go. In fact, I was working with a well-known television crew, not the Help My House is Haunted gang,
ah,
but and it was a television crew, and I told a ghost story. Yeah, I have made entire film crews jump. In fact,
oh
I can make
wow,
an audience rock back like the sea at
that's right.
times, and it will go woof like that. But it's if you are experiencing the paranormal, then that's the same thing, but it's got a deeper edge to it. I'm often of the opinion that if I see or I'm told about things that have a form of an animal or something that is human, I'm more comfortable to accept that as a ghost.
Mm,
Whereas if something is abnormally tall, if it is manifesting
yeah,
in an odd way,
you did.
um, I err towards things that are darker. Now, the term
Yeah,
demon is easily bandied around far
I
too much,
won't. I won't. Well, yeah,
but
I've
I
taken
think
part in something called the Demon Files. So what Neil does,
I think
which is interesting.
demon is a medieval word,
Yes.
and the word demon is to help people understand the forces of darkness. And in fact, we don't even understand them today.
No.
But that's where my money would be. There are forces of darkness. We know they exist. We have to
Yeah.
be aware that they do exist. There are also forces of light and good. And I think we need to be aware of that. So, yeah, I think it's the brand name of the forces of darkness given to it by the church
Church.
is
Yeah.
that it's a demon, and you can picture it with horns and all sorts. But I
That's
think the
right.
only time that they actually look like that is when they want to and to frighten you, because they know that will cause you to be frightened, and they can draw off that energy. So I say be aware of what we call demons, but
Hmm.
they're a dark force, and be careful, because if they will feed off your fear.
Yeah. I certainly wasn't scared, but we can't. I can't say what it was. You know,
What, you've got
it
a
wasn't.
seven
It
foot
wasn't
tall black
normal.
shape with a
Yeah.
skull on top, and you were not
It
scared?
was like. Well, it was just tall black mass, and it had a face like where a human face would be. I just
Well,
screamed. You know.
so you were a bit scared.
I've been more scared than that, to be fair.
We all can
Um,
be, but I think scared is healthy. I
I
In my
cut it.
lifetime,
I stop it. I don't do scared now.
well, that's good, but that
I've
only comes with experience.
yeah, maybe. But
But
that's it. I've sort of managed to like push that aside.
when I interviewed veterans of the First and Second World Wars,
Oh,
I once talked. He was a decorated war hero, a military medal recipient, and he had a pretty sharp fight hand to hand. And I said, and I didn't record it, but I said, "Were you scared?" He said, "Every soldier's scared." He said, "The most dangerous person on the battlefield is somebody who's not scared."
that's true.
And if you think about it,
Mm.
it is true. It's
Yeah.
rather like before going on stage. I've been lecturing now for nearly 30 years, I guess,
Wow.
all in all. And I still get nervous before I present a lecture, or before if I go on stage for one of my shows. Still horribly nervous. And I've worked with some of them really great actors around this country. And in saying actors, I mean actors and the old-fashioned word actresses. Some really
Yes.
wonderful people. They all get scared. It's there. It exists. But you learn to control it,
Yeah.
or you feed off it. But
Yes.
remember, if you are scared, if there is an entity around, that could be feeding off you too. So sometimes, if you've got the experience to muster it up, and I'm not talking about trying to be uh, faux brave. Oh, I can stand this.
Oh God, no, I don't. No.
Don't. and I'm not applying that to you. I'm talking to
No, oh no,
everybody
generalised, yeah.
and sharing with everybody. But that doesn't work either. I think good practice in paranormal research start with good foundations. We've all got to start somewhere,
Oh,
but
definitely.
it only comes with experience. You
Yeah,
know,
that's right.
some people never bloomin' well learn though.
No, well, that's it. I just go in, see what's around, and see what happens, and yeah,
Do you
it
know,
interests
Jackie?
me.
That's the greatest gifts you've got are free.
Yeah, that's
They're the
right.
ones that you develop, hopefully, as you grow up. A lot of people, a lot of us, it's kind of educated out of us. And some of us have it an awful lot more strong and more focused than others. That's
Yeah,
why we'll have psychic mediums and people with various gifts, or they'll have a sense that can pick up things. Maybe they could feel touch,
yeah.
or, and this should not be discounted, smells. Now, I
Oh
know
gosh,
some
yeah.
people know me,
I
that
pick up that.
they know I like a laugh and a joke, but seriously, there are such things as spirit smells.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I know there'll
Definitely.
be lots of listeners saying, "Yeah, we know this," but some that may be new to it, and it's like, go easy, because a lot of these National Trust places, yeah, they might have a shop with loads of lavender in it, but maybe
Mm,
the building hasn't. And if you smell a whiff of lavender, or particularly tobacco, because they're non-smoking buildings, you're smelling stuff from the past, and no, it's not come off the stairs, and it's not someone having a cheeky fag out the back all the time. It's quite often it's a ghost smell,
that's
or you
right.
might smell a damp dog. And it's a no dogs historic building, so go steady. That's why I say really get in those chairs. You don't have to do it solo. A small group of you, I like 3 or 4 in nice comfy chairs, sat in a room in a place that has a reputation for being haunted. Keep the noise down and just keep it quiet and see what you sense. If you really, really must have something going on, put a couple of cat balls around the place.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I do kind of find they work for me, which it's what works for. Like this one podcast I did, and the cat ball was just going ape. It was
absolutely.
it was
I
the
was
day after my dad's. We went out for my dad's birthday with my sister, and something happened there, which was random. I said I'd get the cat ball out because he does like to use it. And then the next night I went to Derby Jail and the cat ball was going ape. And
oh
I told him to ease off and I'll get it out again. So then I did a podcast. I said, Dad, you can play with the cat ball. And he did all the
oh,
way. And that was with Nicky York. So yeah.
fantastic.
But, it's like, it's just going for it. And it's funny because Mickey was asking me questions. And like, then the cat ball would go. And like, my dad sort of said, flash it for a yes. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I need to rewatch that to see what validation we got.
I tell you what has intrigued me, and as far as I know, it's reliable and it's quite a pure thing to do. Have you ever seen those mini mag lights, those little ones, about,
Yes, they are brilliant.
and you twist it until it gets to, you get it on, and then you just gently click it off, and you just leave it.
Interesting.
I have seen with I didn't organise this myself. It was with there was a group in circle, um, a medium asking the questions, and they reached a spirit. And the way that spirit could talk to you via this light, we even had a laugh, and because it flickered in laughter. The yes, the no coming on. I mean,
Oh
there's no
God.
magnets. We're sat round, and it was a picnic table outside. There's no one kicking it, no one messing about.
Yeah.
You are in circle, and these darn things. It was incredible. I
Yeah.
was very, very impressed with that, and I hope
Yeah.
no
My
one was.
friend uses it for her events team. So yeah, and there's a specific experiment where each of us were given one, and we had to set it so that you just just sort of set it, don't you, so
Yeah,
gently, so it's
yeah,
just nearly on. And you just put it on the table, and they were
yeah.
coming on.
And there's no
And
way. I mean, this thing was going off and on, and no
Yeah.
one's twitching it, and it flickers for laughter. Now, you can't easily do that with a little twisty mag light
No,
anyway.
you can't. Because they're really sensitive. If you can't, I can't do. It
I
took me
don't
ages to
think
get
it
it
was
on
a
that
trick.
setting point.
I really don't think it was a trick. There was a lot of very good people around that table, genuine people,
Yeah.
from
Oh
America
gosh,
and
yeah,
UK, paranormal
yeah,
researchers, good people.
yeah,
Do you know, one of the best? No, my personal choice is I don't touch Ouija boards. I
yeah.
just don't, and no disrespect to anybody, I don't do that. So I'll use a yes or a no. It's actually often an improvised piece of paper, but I don't get involved unless there's somebody that can open and close a circle properly, somebody that I've
Right, yeah.
trusted and know. But then they want to do it old school. And one of the most fascinating nights was in the Coach and Horses Hotel, which is by Loch Fyne in Scotland.
Oh,
And
beautiful place. Yeah.
oh god, it really is not far from Inverary. And I mean,
Mm.
Inverary jail does lock-in ghost hunts.
Oh, I'd
Oh,
love to. Yeah.
you've got to go for Inverary. It's also beautiful up there, you know.
I toured it in September. I couldn't. I had a dog, so I was kind of restricted. But
Ah,
I toured
well,
Scotland for two weeks, and me
because
and
the
Baton
weather
and the
was
dog.
really good last year, wasn't it? Incredible, you know.
I did. I hit the odd storm in my inflatable tent.
Oh, oh. Now, we were in hotels, and what was funny is that because it was really hot, some of the American visitors were saying, "These hotels, they've got no AC. Oh God, I'm gonna die. I got no AC." I said, "Why haven't they got AC?" I said, "This is Scotland. You
Scotland.
don't normally need AC in
Yeah.
Scotland." To calm down personalities, but we were all right. They were all right. Got through it. Leave the
Yeah.
window open, but yeah, that was very strange at Coach and Horses. Yes, we'd had a drink or two. We're not sozzled.
Yeah.
There was an American TV producer. She was there. There was her assistant producer. They'd worked on projects together and they were really good friends. There was a triage nurse and me. And we were kind of
Wow.
last ones in the bar and we got chatting
You
to,
last in the bar.
yeah, I like to make sure everybody is, safe and looked after. So
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly.
exceptionally late.
Yeah.
And the owner, we found out we were actually chatting at the bar to the owner of the pub, and that was really great.
That is nice, yeah.
And it's a hotel, and he said, "Oh yeah, we've got one haunted room here, and it's room 5, and a servant girl appears in it." Now that's not in his brochure or anything. So anyway, he went off and did his thing, and I said, "Ladies, you're not going to believe this, but the key to room 5 is in my pocket." It was my
Wow.
room. He didn't know where I was because we all just got given the keys and we're going
Yeah,
in.
you do.
It's an unspoilt room in the old part of the hotel, lovely wooden panelling,
Beautiful.
lots of Victorian features. And I said, "Look, if we go up as a group, it's not going to look dodgy." And I said, "If anyone's uncomfortable, you don't have to come."
Yeah.
So, do you fancy seeing if we can sense anything? Anyway, we got up there, and there was a very low uh, little table that they had the kind of coffee making stuff on it.
Yeah.
And we thought, right, the tumblers are on here. So let's get that off there and get a tumbler on the table. Now, this table has got wet, so the veneer on it had kind of bubbled up over the years,
Yeah.
a little bit flaky. And we thought, and the assistant producer, she's actually very good. She has the gift, and she knew how to open and close circle.
Yeah.
And we said, right, so everything was safe. And we said, right, we'll have a blue packet, for example, of sugar or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's going to be for yes, and a white packet for no. And we made that no,
Yeah.
and we put this glass in the middle. Now, no sooner had we touched that glass, the thing started moving,
Awesome.
and the servant girl came through. And in fact, the assistant producer had asked, and we weren't filming; they were just on holiday.
Yeah.
Actually, she got a name out of this girl, and it's whizzing around. And it turns out the morning after, we all admitted to each other, I took my finger off that glass. Everybody was hardly touching it.
Yeah.
And what was odd is that the speed that it moved across the table, it was like it was on glass. Now remember, that's a bit
Yes.
of a bubbly surface. It was like there was nothing wrong with it at all.
I've had
We
them things glide before, and it glides
incredible.
differently from if it's moving across
It
something
does.
ordinarily.
I had
Yeah.
never experienced anything like that. I
Wow.
haven't named the producer lady. She'd made an
Yeah,
awful lot
no.
of paranormal TV in the
No,
States.
you don't know.
And I'll tell you what, she was in tears.
Oh, wow.
Because I think after all those years of different shows, and I'm sure she believes, you've got to have some
Yeah.
skepticism in there because she had a news background. But I think for all those years, she kind of doubted. She'd never, because she's always behind the camera or directing or whatever, she's never directly experienced the paranormal. But at that moment, she was.
Oh,
It
it's
was real.
beautiful. Yeah.
It was absolute. And because of the mixture of people there, it wasn't just me and a couple of TV folks. It was with a triage nurse who's
Yeah.
a good laugh, but as solid up top as anybody. She's
Yeah.
seen it all. She's there. But we're all, and the weird thing was that the questions seemed to be answered very easily, almost as if the questions were being passed to us in the group.
That's it. That's how I work. Sometimes I do get the questions, and I've sometimes been at events where I've been given the questions.
Yeah,
It has been public events, and I will ask a question, and somebody might be using dowsing rods, might be using a
yeah,
pendulum. So I get the questions, and I kind of know what the answer is, and then I'll ask something totally wrong, which I haven't
oh,
been given, to test the people using the pendulum, just to make sure it's not going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I
I'm with
also
you.
test them out as well. And
It
it's
was an
and
amazing
sometimes
story,
if
but
you're a
this.
bit vague as well on something
Oh
and you
yeah,
don't know, and then you find like the answer is vague as well. It's really weird.
it's true. We
It's
found that this
odd.
girl had been. She was with, because I tell you what did happen very soon after. We found it was a girl. She worked in the pub many years ago, and I think we even we got a number out of her for how many years ago it was, or that we got the
Wow.
number of the year she was there.
Yeah.
We've documented it,
Brilliant.
and it wasn't me. It's one of the, I think it was the assistant producer asked, "Do you have any children?" And I kid you not, the glass, it just whoosh, it went whoosh across that table, and it fell off the table.
Wow.
And there was nobody put it. It could
Yeah.
not have, because of the way our fingers were. It was the force of that. We're hardly touching it, and it's whoosh,
Yeah.
and, and it's one of those real
Mm,
jaw-dropping. What on earth is? And I just thank God there were witnesses. I hope
yeah.
they're all reliable witnesses. Well, I know they're all reliable. Uh,
Yeah.
it was, and this girl, she was with child, but she was murdered by the innkeeper or the innkeeper's son
Wow.
who got her pregnant. She was one of these waifs and strays that nobody really wanted. A pretty young girl.
Oh, bless you.
Couldn't have the shame of it, so she was murdered. And she's probably buried somewhere nearby. A
Near
lost
under the premises, very close. Yeah.
or nearby.
Don't
Yeah,
know.
because there's loads of
Don't
woodland and
know,
they've got
do
the hills all around there. Unspoilt countryside, a cart ride to an old ditch or underneath the old, I don't know, the dung heap, or the sort of things. It was
Yeah, that's right.
easier in those days to make somebody disappear.
Oh, yeah, it
But
was
she's
totally
happy.
different.
She loves it because they said, "Do you want to move on?" And she said, "No." She said, I'm happy here." She likes being with people. I don't think she wants to frighten anybody. She just likes being there. And sometimes people see her kind of by accident. We didn't see her. Uh,
Yeah,
we didn't. There was no smell. There was no. There was a bit of an atmosphere.
yeah,
The room was dipping cold um, at times, but her energies, you could tell, were
Yeah.
absolutely in that communication through the glass, and whether that's through us, I don't know. But if you haven't got your finger on the thing, and other people are not touching it all the time, and it's kind of going all over, and
Mm. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
it was magic. It
Yeah.
was, or should I say, magical, because there was no trick to it. It
Yeah.
was magical.
Oh. But to get the validation as well.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, it is so special, isn't it, to get that? It really
It was a
is.
totally unplanned ghost hunt, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes that really works if you've got people that can do it properly.
Yes, that's it.
So open and close the circle without uh, going and running out of the room,
Yeah,
leaving before it's closed, and get good sensible people on board, treat it sensible, and you're so relaxed going into it.
that's right.
Sometimes that's the best results because you haven't been building up to it. There's no energy of anticipation. What happens, and
That's it.
it was just fascinating.
Oh, it's just beautiful when you can get that. I've got quite a few people watching. I've put the comments up as we've gone
Oh,
along.
hello,
I've
thank you.
also got a question as well. Jenny
Yes.
Sullivan Siliassi says
Hey, Jenny,
hello.
hello, lovely,
Yeah,
hello.
Charles Wood, Carl Hudson,
Okay, yeah,
Tony. Tony came on board for a bit. Tony Ferguson,
brilliant.
Trish ran
Thank you,
for a while.
everyone.
Patty Moses, um, Emma from Haunted Antiques, Mandy Bell,
Hey, hey, the gang.
Amanda as well.
Ah,
Amy's has been on. Terry Davison, Lynn Peters, Nikki Scolan.
Nikki, you
Yeah,
rascal. Hello.
quite a few people. So they've been
Oh,
on
some
now.
lovely people.
I've just been trying to catch questions. Sorry if I've missed you, anybody. I've been trying to. Alistair Sherwood says, "Are you coming to the festival next year?" I'm probably
All
not.
being well, all being well,
I'm
I
probably
should
not
be there.
because I'm going to the three parameets. So
I'm
I'll
going
be.
3 parameets. I'm speaking at every parameet.
You
I
are
should be. Dave Schrader and I have got our England tour, so
awesome.
I'll be there with Dave. So I'll be there, and if they want me to speak, I'm more than happy to
Oh,
speak
that's
if they can
cool.
fit me in. But
That's
I've
brilliant.
done a few now. Got to give other people a chance. But
Oh,
oh
bless
yeah,
you.
I want to be there because it's a great thing, and I go along with my son and his partner, and it's great fun, and it's a
Yeah,
lovely atmosphere, lovely
it
people.
is great, and it's just mixed with
They
like
all are.
got
They
Mark
all are.
Warbank as well. Yeah, got
Hey,
Mark Warbank should be
all
at
those
work.
miles away. Hello, buddy.
Yeah, he should be at work, no doubt. Gary Fields as well was
Oh,
watching.
Gary. Hello. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
Jenny wants to know when you're arranging your trip to Ireland.
Well, as soon as I've got my diary sorted for next year, I think I'll be coming to the Emerald Isle, and we shall go to
Oh,
Clontarf, which is where there's what's now known as Merino Crescent, the home where Bram Stoker was born. And gaily we shall skip hand in hand around Merino Crescent. Well, Jenny
no.
and I.
I had a question from Patty, and I think she's gone.
Oh
But
no.
what I do is ask, and then I'll answer. So, Mr. Neil, what would you really do if you see a ghost?
I've seen quite a lot of them now. I try to stay calm, but the adrenaline's
Yeah,
absolutely pumping. Try and stay calm. Don't freak out. Um, Assess what's going on. Make sure it's not a threat.
yes,
Always keep that in the back of your mind. But in the main, if a spirit is trying to reach you, stay calm if you can. Don't start. I don't say scrabble for cameras and things. I say no one's going to believe you anyway. So
that's right. Make the most of it, isn't it?
relax, make the most of it because that's your moment. And when you know the truth, you don't need to
Yeah,
prove it to anybody.
that's right. Like I mentioned earlier, I write up my experiences, and we had a really crazy time at Matlock Pavilion, and it's actually written up into the Haunted Mag, the
Yeah,
edition which is still out. And someone says, well, it's not true if you haven't got footage. Well, I'm too busy doing. I'm too busy
absolutely right.
experiencing.
It's
You
your
know,
time.
That's
And to
it.
be honest with you, Jackie, you're not saying, "Oh, you must believe me." It's your
No,
story. And if
that's
somebody
right.
chooses
Like it or lump
not
it,
to,
I'm not bothered. Yeah.
the best ghost stories have not got pictures.
Yeah. I've got the most craziest story ever.
Yeah,
Connection to my past life. And
and it's
I've
yours.
mentioned it before, and it's just insane. Even Gary Fields is aware of it.
Yeah,
And I think I've ended it. I've sorted it all out. But
that's
yeah,
great.
it's madness. It ties in with my like
Mm,
paranormal and where I've been. Actually ties with my past life, and
mm.
it's crazy. And but yeah,
I think remember the words
fascinating.
of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't panic. Or think about dear old Clive Dunn on Dad's Army. Don't panic.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you've come for.
Mm.
Maybe even think in the back of your mind, if I encounter a ghost, try and stay calm and soak it up and see what happens. But just make sure and keep yourself safe. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. And we've just got to be careful because we don't actually know what we're dabbling with.
You don't,
We
but
don't know who's coming through.
if you keep it if you keep it safe. Now, I've got a faith. Now, I'm not going to try and bamboozle anybody with that. Some people don't. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have a faith. If you carry a cross, then for goodness sake, believe in it. Because if you're just carrying a cross and you don't believe in it, it probably won't be as powerful and work.
Yeah.
It really won't. Also, if you're just got a plain cross, that tends to be it represents a thing of torture. A cross. You need to have Jesus Christ upon it. You need a proper crucifix,
Mhm.
and that if you've got the faith uh, and believe in that, and a small good stout pocket Bible, and if you've got a nice priest that you get on with, get some a little bit of holy water,
I
holy wafers, and they're
oh,
available for most of these Christian shops. Get a pack of holy wafers, and you can give yourself a little protection circle with that, with a flick of the old water. Job done. But do not think, oh, I'll just put some new water in the holy water bottle. It's got to
no.
be the real deal. Now,
Yeah.
okay, now that's faith stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to have a little bit of faith, but maybe you don't want to go into crosses and that kind of symbolism, okay, there are ways, and you can smudge, and you can go with your sage, but that's really really powerful stuff, and
Mm.
you might just blow everything out if you're going to sage it. So
Yeah.
so the protection of choice, I would say. Now, again, you get a bit of faith, but a St. Benedict medal. Now,
Right.
he's a good saint. He's a good protection, and he's a bit of a welcome all comers. Please have a little bit of faith in it, otherwise it's no good. But a St. Benedict medal, pop that in your pocket. That's all right. That'll do you. That will do you. If you don't want to go down crosses, holy water and wafers, that's all right. St. Benedict. And I think they
Yeah.
produce rings now. There are amulets, but I like if you've got a shrine near you, near me, there's Walsingham in Norfolk.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
First time went there, I didn't realise.
yeah, yeah,
I wondered what I was walking into. It's
it's
like,
magical. Yeah, the
yeah,
shrine shop.
you just go to Norfolk to a little village. It's like, wow, yeah,
Yeah,
it
well, it's like
was,
fairyland when you go into the ancient abbey site as well. Well,
yeah,
but
it's
I
amazing.
always think if you can go to a cathedral, if you can go to a proper, rather than buying online, all right,
Yeah,
the
could be
idea of
anything.
pilgrimage was really powerful. In fact, it was so powerful that people believe miracles took place. Now, whether they did or not, or maybe they went into some sort of rapture and they gained sight again, or they had the palsy and they could walk. Who knows? But
Yeah,
people ascribe miracles to it by going to these sites. Okay, so if you go to one of these sites, you are supporting often a very expensive historical building, and you can get one of these little amulets from that place, and you get all those wonderful memories. And that journey, that's your pilgrimage. That's your pilgrimage to a big old cathedral or to a shrine, and that's in your pocket. And I think that makes it quite powerful.
mm, that's it, isn't it? People,
Yeah, why not? Why
I
not? I mean, I love
yeah,
historic, really good medieval cathedrals or lovely old shrines. There's a
Yeah.
lot of magic in them, a lot of power, you know. And I think
Yeah.
it's worth the journey to just go and see a real medieval cathedral if you've
Oh,
never set foot in one.
they're stunning, and you just feel the energy when you walk in, don't you?
Yeah,
It's I don't practice that, I don't do religion, but whatever. But the buildings themselves, and there is something that it's just beautiful.
but
It really
Jackie, you're
is.
a kind person,
Oh, cheers.
right? And
Yeah,
and and if you're a kind person and if you've got a good heart, then that's kind of what most books, any faith, really wants you to be.
yeah,
And
that's right.
you don't have to. And I'm not a regular churchgoer. I don't pretend to be, but I hope I've got faith,
Yeah,
and something in me that I care about my fellow humans and animals, and I hope that in my journey in life I've helped people along the way, not
yeah,
in this big sanctimonious way, but just if we all just help each other be decent.
that's
Uh,
right. Yeah, I do try
we
and do
can't
that.
always succeed, but try, and I think that kind of ethos, if you've got that inside you
Yeah,
and you love the historic building, I feel the power of the church and all the vibe that's going on there,
yeah,
plus your St. Benedict medallion. Do you know what? You've got some pretty good protection going on there, ladies and gentlemen, and
that's
all in
right.
between.
Definitely. Yeah. But it's just fascinating world we live in, isn't it? And the
I think
buildings and the
it's a
history of it.
beautiful world, and I'm a child of the 70s, so maybe there's a bit of hippie in me, but it's very naive of me, I know. I'm also a countryman at heart, and why can't people just get on with each other?
Oh gosh, yeah,
You know, it
I'm an
really ain't.
outdoors person, but I'm stuck in a town, so exactly.
It shouldn't be rocket science, really. I've studied war and warfare and conflict now since the 1980s. I'm extensively published on the First and Second World Wars, and every old soldier would say we didn't fight to fight another war.
Yeah, that's
You know, well, and if just we can't solve everything, but strive for peace, carry peace in your heart. That can't be a bad thing. Knowing peace, and it's also blooming good protection. So if you encounter the paranormal and particularly the forces of darkness, if you believe in ghosts, then I think you need to be aware that forces of darkness exist in the
yeah.
same way that forces of light also exist.
I have met dark things. They intrigue me. They fascinate me now. But hey, hey, we'll
Be
see.
careful.
I know.
Just be careful because that's what they want. I was involved not so long ago at Chillingham Castle. I did a special bit of filming with Sam and Colby, who are two very nice young
Awesome.
men.
Yeah.
I enjoyed meeting them, and I helped them find some locations in the UK. And they were coming out with the John Sage story about this guy known as Dragfoot, King Edward, the Hammer of the Scots. He was his torturer and all this kind of. And I had to tell them, gentlemen, it's a construct. There is no, and I mean this, check it out, folks. There is no historical document, no historical record, no matter who the person may say, I'm a historian. Okay, great. You're a historian. Find me the historical record that mentions John Sage, the torturer. Just show it to me. Just show it. In any book, just show it to me. What he is like Slender Man in America. Slender
Ah,
Man starts off as a game, really. It's a children's
okay.
urban legend. And urban legends, if enough people believe in it and want it to exist, becomes a construct, something that you will see and may even be able to film. It's scary. And I believe that there is a very dark force at Chillingham, which will go by the name of John Sage. And of course, people will react to it. They will acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not the name of the dark force. Remember, Chillingham was used at one time by Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister
Mm.
Crowley, the great beast, 666, he's doing some pretty
Stuff.
powerful magic,
Yeah.
which is pretty dark. Uh, Lord knows what he conjures.
I've I've managed to communicate with him at Warwick Castle. I have footage of it through the Estes method.
The Megatherion himself. A very educated man,
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
very intriguing.
Shall I tell you a little story about Aleister Crowley? It's true story.
Yeah.
In a London pub, not far from Covent Garden, I think, there used to be 2 beer mats in a frame on the wall.
Hmm.
And on them were very intricate designs in biro. Somebody had been very, very bored one
Okay.
afternoon, and they'd done this kind of intricate matrix design and squiggles and all sorts. And the first one was actually Dylan Thomas, who in those days, you know, the guy that
Yeah.
wrote Under Milkwood, the great Welsh poet. He's smoking and he's drinking in the corner of the pub. Not very much because he hasn't got a lot of money, but he's making like a pint last forever. And
Yeah.
he's scribbling away, just doodling. And Aleister Crowley walks in. I mean, you can imagine he really needs to have an organ, doesn't he? Strike a note when he walks in. But no, there he is. You can imagine with his fedora on. He's
Oh
looking a bit
gosh.
down at heel because, you know, it's later years, Crowley. And nobody turns a head.
Wow.
Nobody turns a hair. It's just some geezer coming in. Is
Well,
it
it would
yesterday,
be.
man?
People wouldn't know, would they? Wouldn't have a clue.
Absolutely. And even if Dylan Thomas had noticed him, he certainly didn't acknowledge him. And he's just scribbling away with his biro. And Crowley looks over, gets his half pint, did Crowley, and he looked over Dylan Thomas's shoulder. Crowley then goes to a stall nearby, and he obtains a beer mat and a biro. And he's there, and as he's just sipping away, he's scribbling away, and he finishes his half pint, takes the beer mat, and smacks that on the bar next to Dylan Thomas's. Guess what?
They're
They've
the
drawn
same.
exactly the same thing.
Wow.
Even down to the stuff that Dylan Thomas had been drawing while Aleister Crowley was having his pint, his half pint.
Incredible.
But when they refurbished the pub, I think they got rid of the beer mats.
Oh yeah, because you probably get subsequent owners in who don't have a damn clue, do they?
But I
Oh,
know people that saw them.
nightmare.
Uh, a
Maybe
brilliant
a
story. I mean,
photo somewhere. You never know.
well, you never know. They might come up. There's another story of Crowley going into Treadwell's bookshop, Bloomsbury. And there was a new manager that didn't respect the Crowley. Now, Treadwell's is witchcraft and all sorts of mythology and wonderful books in there. And other mystic bookshops are available in London, including Atlantis Books. Hello, ladies, good friends. Okay, but Treadwell's, lovely welcome, lovely people in there too. Crowley walks in, new manager. Well, sir, can I help you? Don't you know who I am? This guy, I'm totally sorry, sir. No, I don't. And Crowley looks him dead in the eye and he goes, and the legend is that every book disappears off the shelves.
Wow.
And
Okay.
this guy has to get on his knees and repeat his name 3 times, Aleister Crowley, before he went and brought all the
Wow.
books back. I think he probably had the ability like Darren Brown. Now, I've seen Darren.
Some hypnosis or something.
Yeah, it's an
Mm.
instant bang.
Yeah.
He's got the ability to do that. And
Yeah.
I think Crowley probably had that too. But
Wow.
Crowley got involved in some very quite sinister, and there's a sexual
Hmm.
bias to some of the ceremonies, which
A
is
lot
why
of.
the then Earl of Tankerville kind of said, the owner of Chillingham kind of said, I'm not having this anymore, and they parted ways. But who knows what Crowley left behind?
That's right. I recently went to Boleskine House. I looked around the outside.
Well, you
You
can't
can
get in.
actually,
It's under severe restoration at the moment,
yeah,
isn't
you can actually go around it, and you can see through the windows. But they're all, yeah. And we were chatting to one of the guys there,
it? Yeah, no,
and we sort of
okay.
said, if he encountered anything, and he says, well, he leaves every night, and then one day came and the lock was on 666, which he hadn't left that, and there's no reason whatsoever for anyone to go up there.
No,
He just went in, he did the building, he used his slight lock, and Yeah,
unless
and
people are chancing it and trying to guess the number. Oh, we'll put in 666. That was a little bit skeptical of me, and I don't want to spoil a
well,
magical story.
you don't know, do you? You know, it's got
We
a lot of
don't.
security on the place as well. It's got cameras and stuff. I don't want people there at
We
all.
were able to park on the road outside. We could see it up on the hill. It was
Yeah,
under, and at that period in time, that's about a year ago.
yeah,
It was under an awful lot of restoration work, and they literally couldn't let people in there
yeah.
because I think
You're
they're
not
probably a
allowed
bit
in it, but
no,
yeah, I've been around the outside of the house, quite close to the house.
because
I've also
it's up
been
on that hill, and then it's got that lovely view of the cemetery below.
I spent a lot of time in the cemetery. Yeah, I love that
I
cemetery.
think the cemetery's got there's a certain magic to it.
Fascinating, fascinating, really.
I found that more interesting than Boleskine House, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, I like the cemetery. And oh my gosh, what a view! It's the Clan Fraser
Yeah,
cemetery.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
that's generally who's buried there. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating place. I go on a campsite which is 1.7 miles from it, but it's totally downhill on a single track bendy road. So I ain't going
oh
to try and walk up it. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen, is it?
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
at
not ready
least
to
you can
camp
park up
yet,
there.
Jackie. I'm afraid I've camped in my youth and doing silly things in uniform. But no, camping is a big nine danker now in my back,
Well, I
and I've
love
got a
the
new hip,
freedom.
which
Yeah.
means I can tell what the weather's going to be.
Oh
And,
yeah. Oh yes, I imagine. Like
and
now, it's
having
damp
done
and stuff.
canvas, it's no for Neil
Yeah,
now.
that's
No,
right. I've
maybe a
got
bit of glamping. Not saying no to glamping,
well,
but
mine is as glamping as you can get. My
yeah,
airbed is like double. My airbed is like double size, so it's as high as
yeah.
a bed.
Got a
I've
flush
got.
toilet.
Well, I've had to use one before when I have to walk to that generally.
No, you haven't. You see, you've got a bucket, a
Well, no,
glorified
I did.
bucket.
I did have a portaloo basically, but
Well, that's not.
yeah,
Someone's still got to empty that. And if I'm on
I
holiday, I'm not dealing
which
with poop.
is yeah, I know. We're not even going down that
You know,
conversation.
I'm not. I'm not. You know, it's a
Oh
family show, but that's just not going to happen for me. I mean, I saw
no,
an advert not so long ago that it was in our local newspaper. It was advertising. What does it say? Camping toilet with free stool. Now, I didn't fancy that.
no, you don't want one in already, do you? Oh, bless you. Bless
I
you.
laugh because that's such a silly joke, but there we are.
No, it's cool. I love it. But yeah, we've got to finish now.
We
Actually, a
haven't
quick
even
question.
talked Bram Stoker tonight.
I
My God,
know.
we've done well. We're talking
I
paranormal stuff and
know.
camp
I
toilets.
meant to hit on it, but unfortunately, it was a show. I think following at 1:30. I used to have a
My
2 hour
goodness.
slot. We could have carried on rabbiting on,
Well,
but
hey, look, let's get together again sometime. It's been a pleasure,
oh,
Jackie.
definitely, it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I have got a quick question for you. What's
Yes.
the opinion on spirits following you home?
What? What?
Do you think a spirit can follow you home?
Yes. They're called attachments. Make
Yeah,
sure and keep your circle around you. Keep your protection. And as I say, if you've got your faith, keep your holy wafers, a little flick of the old holy water, or your sage. You know, before you
yeah,
leave. You can get a sage spray now. I understand. You don't even have to burn it if there's a fire safety issue
yeah.
there.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Look, just be aware. Don't take it all as a joke. We can have great times with paranormal research, but look,
Yes,
protect yourselves, uh, and you will have a wonderful time, and you'll keep safe, and hopefully, you won't go back with more than you came with.
I have. Loads of love and white light to you all. Oh, bless you, Gary. But
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I've had encounters where they followed me home. In fact, they followed me camping once. That was hell.
Protection, Jackie.
Oh,
Protection.
I know. Everyone says that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get your Benedict
Oh,
medal in your pocket. You'll never have another problem.
even Gary. See Gary's protection as well. I have
Yeah,
sprays as well. Do we use
yeah,
them? Nah.
yeah.
I just don't
It,
realise. And then about 2 weeks after, I think, why do I feel so shattered?
I
Why
know.
am I struggling to walk and feel so rough for 2 weeks?
It's far easier to just make sure and
Prevent.
cleanse and close and cleanse
Yeah.
than it is to try and think, oh, I won't bother with that this week. And you get home and you got a Brucey bonus. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had Brucey bonuses, yeah.
Well, my darling,
The
thank you so
ultimate
much
in
for having me
paranormal.
on the
But thanks so
show.
much. Like, how do we find your books? They're all on Amazon, are they?
Well, I say go to a good bookshop, support your local bookshops,
Oh,
and
that's
if they haven't
beautiful.
got it
Yeah,
on,
that's a lot
if they haven't
better.
got it on the
Yeah.
shelf, get them to order that in for you. Okay, if you can, I'd really endorse that. If not, yes, both sides of the Atlantic, Barnes and Noble on the other one side of the Atlantic, and we've got Amazon here, but there's Waterstones online. There's all sorts of wonderful purveyors of books, and every main stockist will have my World War II Blackout Murders. You can find my biography of Bram Stoker. And I've got a new book next year that will be looking at the history of UFOs over
Wow.
Britain,
Interesting. That sounds cool.
with lots of
Yeah.
exciting new material in it too. So watch
Oh,
this space.
yeah. UFO. It's fascinating. Yeah, there's a guy from the US I've spoken to about 3 times now. It's
Absolutely.
oh,
But we've
Gary
got
says,
some
does it?
amazing stories here.
Gary says, does it take a long time to write a book?
uh, yeah, most of my books it's 25 years of research.
Oh, bless you.
But
Yeah.
actually, if you've got the time,
Mm-hmm.
and lockdown was great for me, so I wrote a few books during lockdown. If you got the
Awesome.
time to sit yourself down, you've got your research. That's the big time killer. If you're producing any book that's historical and based
Oh,
on all
yeah.
sorts of material, that's the big killer. The actual sitting down and writing it, for me, it's about a year. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
producing 60 to 120,000 words, it's around about a year.
Yeah.
And I
I've
tend
I've
to do
done one.
two at the same time. So if
I
I get
started one
fed
in
up with one,
2020.
yeah, if I get fed up with one, I'll
You
write
get
the
on.
other one for a little while. So they kind of bounce off each other.
Awesome.
And if you
Yeah.
do become a writer, and I hope some of you will, don't give up. I wasn't born thinking, yes, I'm going to write 50 books. I didn't. I've written books about things that have interested me and inspired me. In my professional life, I'm a historian. It's what I do.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
when you're delving into these old records, there's all sorts of things you find along the way, like the archives, the old stories of ghosts in books and newspapers and all sorts. UFO book was inspired by an archive of the Tyneside UFO Society that I found up
Wow.
north, and they kind of hadn't really been around since the 70s. But then I looked at other archives. I got to see what's around. Some of the older stories that now we've got more online newspapers than ever before. So yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
where we go. But it will
Excellent.
happen. It will happen. It's in
But
progress as well. Not I'm not writing it now because I'm talking to you.
yeah,
But
you're talking to me.
when
Yeah.
I'm not
That's great.
teaching and lecturing, and
Yeah, you were lecturing today, weren't you?
I had my lovely Bram Stoker seminar, which
Wow.
one thing I love talking Bram and how he created Dracula and Bram's life and the world that he inhabited of the theatre. It's
It is fascinating.
it works for me. I know his great grandnephew Dacre Stoker, and we share that passion. Sadly, a number of those who shared that passion with us, they're sadly no longer with us. They
Oh,
have gone
wow.
before, but we keep going their
Keep the
legacy,
story going.
and it's lovely that you'll find people with that kind of enthusiasm coming on through as well. And like everything
Mm.
else, don't get egos. Bram didn't have an ego. In his lifetime, he never knew the success that Dracula was. When he died, it was his
No.
2-volumed history of Sir Henry Irving, his boss at the Lyceum Theatre. Uh, and they worked together. They were very close. There was little or no mention of Dracula, but Dracula has never been out of print since it was first published in 1897. Talk
That's
about a
amazing.
slow burn.
Yeah, absolutely
So
awesome.
Bram was born in November, earlier this month. So I hope that it's been a lovely way to finish this conversation. If you've got a drink, particularly if it's red, or something nice, be it tomato juice or port wine, but the next time you have a glass of red in your hand, please raise a glass to dear old Bram Stoker and the
Oh,
legacy that he's given us of the modern genre of vampire films and horror.
mm,
It's all really, if we didn't have Bram, we wouldn't have that. So raise a
yeah.
glass to the man. Here's to Bram.
Absolutely fascinating, and thank you so much, Neil.
That's a pleasure, Jackie, and thank you everybody for listening. To friends
Yeah,
old and new,
thank you to everyone. But yeah,
be
take care,
nice to each other.
everyone. Look after yourselves and be careful. Have fun. More than anything, have fun.
Bye
Bye.
bye.